Hello YouTubers, Twitterers, and Facebookians. My name is Cody Flesher, and I am going to review the album Now by Fireflight. When I first started listening to this album, I thought, well, I've listened to their previous album, and so I had a preconceived notion about what a Fireflight album should sound like. So when I first started the first song, Stay Close, I was immediately drawn in by the introduction instrumentation. As the song progressed, I was pleased to hear tight harmonies and driving guitar, which just increased the emotion and the power of the song. On top of that, there was an engaging drum beat, and this song is just powerful in driving and engaging. Even though I've already used those words, it is a very good song to start the album with. Another thing that pleases me about this album, or this song in particular, is that, and I guess the album, is that female-driven bands are rare in music today, especially in the Christian, the CCM, Christian rock especially. Now, I know there are some female-fronted bands. Now, I can't think of them at the moment, but they do exist, although they are rare. So I went on to the next song, which is called Ignite. As soon as I started listening to it, I thought back to Linkin Park's Somewhere I Belong. And so that was kind of a connection, but at the same time, I realized, well, this is something that I've already heard. As I continued listening, I realized that I didn't particularly care for the audio mix in the chorus. There was too much going on, and there was too much vocal decay effect that made the words kind of garbled, hard to understand. Further, the chords that were in the chorus seemed dissonant with the rest of the song, and Dawn's rich register wasn't used enough. Well, actually, it hadn't been used at all up to this point. So, I'm still looking for that. I'm wanting that out of this album. Like, if you think back to their original album, or their other album, that it was used a lot. She sung up in the high range that she could handle really well, and it added an ethereal feeling to her singing. The next song is known as Escape. This had a completely different feel from the previous two songs, but at the same time, I wasn't sure that this is where I would have placed the song. As I got to the chorus, I realized that the voice to instrument mix was better. I did enjoy that. Now, but the entrance timings on some of the phrasing seemed a little off. Now, I don't know if they planned that or not, but to my ear, it just seemed like they were either behind or ahead of time. The drummer did an amazing job during this song, and it reminded me of the drummer Catherine Hawk from Coyote Run. This is while this band is disbanding, they are a Celtic rock group that has had 12 long years of creating great renditions of classic Celtic pieces. And so if you're interested in checking them out, they're on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes. So just give them a listen and see what you think. And as we get to the end of this song, I just love the floating dream like interlude that works with the fade out. It's got a faint use of the voice, which I'm not sure if it's parts of the song or if it's other lyrics. I'll have to take a closer listen to that. But there's the faint use of the voice not a chorus, but a harmony over top of that, and the drum, which is creative in its beat, and it changes up so it's not repetitive or anything like that, so it keeps the listener's interest. And in this instance, the voice effects seem to fit. The next song is called "He Weeps." Having not heard this song before, I listened to it, and it started out as an a cappella singing with Dawn singing a cappella, and then it built up into a sparse, instrumented song. The chorus is in major with reference. The chorus is in major while the verses are in a minor key, and that struck me as odd. It struck me as something is askew here. It didn't seem to lock together, especially due to the fact that during the verse, the song is describing struggles that people are going through, and that's in a minor key, which works. That's kind of a, it's difficult, it's trudging, and so when you get to the point where Jesus is coming to help you, to be there to weep with you, you would think it would be triumphant, and so it would be in a major key, but it's not. It's reversed, and so that really threw me off. It just puzzled me, and on top of that, I know the artists have their own agendas. They write their own lyrics, and I shouldn't be critiquing them, but I think this song could have been expressed differently, in the fact that if you're going through struggles, I don't think Jesus would be there to weep with you. I think he'd be there to, hold your hand, lift you up, comfort you, or something else like that. So I thought that was odd, how the artist positioned Jesus in this particular piece. Then, when I finished listening to the song, I reached the end of it, and I thought, that's it. I didn't even know that the ending had come up, and so I was slightly disappointed in this song. So I kept listening, and the next song is called "Keeping Me Alive." After He Weeps, I was starting to lose interest, and I even thought that, I'm losing interest, there's a bad song order, and, with the previous knowledge of Unbreakable, I was looking for a harder album, and I wasn't finding it here. So listening to "Keeping Me Alive," I was hoping it was keeping me alive in my interest, and again, I was disappointed. It was very flat. There weren't any real high points. And actually, in the bridge of the song, it seems as if Michelle is sharp. I don't think it's intentional, but it doesn't seem like she's in tune with the song. And so it just causes a dissonance with the music. Further, it just seems like a standard CCM song. It reminded me of "Mercy Me," and so that just kind of, I'm looking for a rock album and hearing, something that you'd hear on regular Christian radio, and it just, okay, I'm trying here, guys. And so summarily, it was nothing out of the ordinary with the vocalics or the instrumentation. There weren't any creative rhythms, and it was just a straight beat. So this is halfway through the album. I'm pretty disappointed, and so we moved on to "Stronger Than You Think," and I was impressed. I started listening to this song and I thought, okay, I think we may recover from here. At the beginning, they used a vocal effect like, old timey radio, which they'd already used before. So it's like, okay, well, that's kind of uninteresting. You used it, don't overdo it. But I love the hard instrumentation. It was raw, it was powerful, and it showed, and that raw powerfulness even showed in Michelle's voice. During the chorus, they had some simple octave work, which worked because they hadn't used that before, and so it was something different. And used sparingly, that's an okay effect. In verse 2, the energy is pulled back and then builds up into the pre-chorus. Then they move into the chorus. There's a switched rhythm at the end of the chorus, which immediately draws the listener back into the song because it re-engages their interest because something's changed and they realize it in their mind. And so I got to the end of this song and I'm like, I think this may be my favorite song of the album. At the end, there is a sudden cut of the instrumentation, and then Michelle just rawly delivers the line, "This is gonna hurt," and I think that's the best line of the whole album. They enter into verse 3, and I immediately think of something similar to Evanescence, which is fine. They're a great band, and so, I was, if you're gonna pull from a band, then go with Evanescence, especially with a female being your lead singer. And then as they were exiting the song, they used that radio effect again, which, as I said before, I'm not a huge fan of. The next song, "Prove Me Wrong," it had a different rhythm that hadn't been used on the album, which was a good thing. It just kind of threw notions out the window. It was something unplanned, different, and so that was interesting. This time, they successfully brought together the major and minor modes, at the same time keeping the power of the song. So that was a big plus in my mind. Another thing, just randomly, the timing for the song is 3:33, 3 minutes 33 seconds, and so 3:33 for the win, due to its the number 3 and its relevance in the Bible. But I was still at this point not hearing the high notes I wanted to hear from Michelle. But my final thought was that we're still on an upward trend here. And then I got to the end of the song and I thought to myself, well, it just seemed to kind of end. I felt like the guy from the Coke Zero commercials. And what else? So, moving on to the next song, is called "Dying for Your Love." When this song started, I was not sure at all. The instrumentation at the beginning for the introduction is just strange, and so I was just not sure. And as it got into the song, I realized that I've already heard this on this album, and there wasn't, at the time that I thought that there wasn't any power yet. There was too much hi-hat, or at least high end in the song. There wasn't enough bass to ground it. And my speakers were complaining. They were groaning. And my volume was only at, still in the same volume, it's 20%. And let's see, my VLC player was at 119, which is just in the yellow. So it's, it's not a song that the speakers should be whining at on my computer. So I got to the end of this song and realized that this was going to be a dip in the coaster. Next song is called "Rise Above." I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a 7-Eleven song. If you don't know what a 7-Eleven song is, it's that you say 7 words 11 times. So it's kind of like modern day praise and worship songs. This song, seemed to be a praise, a 7-Eleven song. Something that I'd heard somewhere before, but I could not think of it. And so I had to sit down and ponder it a bit. I realized that the song is actually almost too low for Michelle. She goes down to a point where she almost can't hit the low notes. So that was probably a bad choice on their parts. So, like I said, this reminded me of a song. I couldn't think of it, and then I finally got it. It reminded me of Holy is the Lord God Almighty by Chris Tomlin. And so once I figured that out, I'm just kind of like, well, I've already heard that. Why would you create a song that is similar to another song already out there? And so that kind of killed the song for me. The bridge was rather boring. There wasn't any inflection, voice, instrumentation-wise, nothing real fancy. And then, for some strange reason, it seemed as if there was a bad volume mix into the pickup at the last chorus, where one of Michelle's words just kind of blared out and then pulled back immediately. So that was kind of just a random flaw or something. It was maybe I'm just hearing things, but that was kind of odd. And then the last song is called Now. Again, I noticed order. It seems weird to go from a 7-Eleven song to a full-out rock. And so, that, again, order, I think, if I haven't mentioned it before, I think we need to go from pulling the listeners in with the hard rock and then wind down at the end with the slower songs, to bring them back into a worshipful mindset. Not that to say that the hard rock isn't worshipful, but just where they can reflect on what they've just heard with less noise. Again, I thought immediately, this time I didn't have to think about it. Immediately I thought, this song reminds me of the Power Rangers video game music for the Super Nintendo. And so I was like, well, this is strange. And then I also noticed that in verse 1, Michelle uses some weird metaphors. She talks about how swinging and missing, which is, a baseball reference, might break your hide. And then she also mentions breaking your back. And I don't know, I just kind of wouldn't have written those metaphors in that way. So, it just struck me as odd. However, I do like the instrumentation. It was a good ending piece, for the order that they did have it. Excuse me, they did have it in. And then at the end, when they were closing out the song, they were using a phaser effect on the voices that was very effective. And then, finally at the end of the album, we get one of Michelle's belt notes. And so, it's kind of a relief, but at the very end of the album is when you find what you're looking for. Now you find what you're looking for. And so now I leave you. This has been Cody's review of Fireflight's album Now.